Welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining us for a presentation on Youth Restorative Justice Circles. This is a program partnership between the Dispute Resolution Center and Dynastic Ministries 19 consulting firm. Today's presentation is sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Washtenaw County, and I'm Maggie Bayless, a member of the League's Juvenile Justice and Justice for All advocacy team. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan voter education organization that encourages informed, active participation in government. We believe that voting is a fundamental citizen right that must be guaranteed. While the League does not support candidates or political parties, we do take positions on issues we have studied. Our programs do not necessarily represent these positions, but provide forums to increase understanding of public policy issues. Today's program is being recorded and will be posted on the League's website. Our speaker today is Belinda Dulin, Executive Director of the Dispute Resolution Center. Belinda has worked with the Dispute Resolution Center since 2003. During her tenure, she's developed a variety of conflict resolution services in partnership with schools, courts, and other organizations. Belinda has a bachelor's in business administration and a master's in dispute resolution, both from Wayne State University. Belinda is a wife, mother, sister, and aunt. She enjoys cooking for her family, reading, and gardening. Before I turn the mic over to Belinda, I want to let everyone know that we will have time for some Q&A after the presentation, and we encourage you to type your questions into Zoom's chat function. My colleague, Melanie McIntosh, will be monitoring the chat, and she'll read the questions when we get to that part of the program. So, with all of that good housekeeping work out of the way, it is my pleasure to turn the mic over to Belinda Dulin. Belinda?
Good morning, everyone. First, I want to, before I go to my presentation, which is a PowerPoint, I want to just express my gratitude to the League for inviting us, the DRC, into the space and to share one of our programs. And I thank all of you for getting up this morning and listening about this program and hopefully finding ways to support it. I will share my screen now. With the PowerPoint so I can stay on track and we can make sure we have time for questions. So our Restorative Justice Youth Empowerment Circles is the name of the program is the Restorative Justice Youth Empowerment Circles. And again, it is in partnership with the DRC and Dynastic Ministries 19. A little bit about the DRC. We are a community dispute resolution program that's defined by the State Court Administrative Office, which is the administrative arm of our state Supreme Court. And our mission is to provide affordable, constructive, restorative, and healing approaches to conflict resolution in the communities of Washtenaw as well as Livingston counties. Our vision is to partner and collaborate with individuals, families, schools, and businesses to build peaceful communities. And we value respect, integrity, accessibility, restorative justice, diversity, and inclusion. A little bit about our partner, Dynastic Ministry 19. They are a consulting firm, and they are a group of trained facilitators, certified mediators, circle keepers, and youth empowerment coaches. They specialize in cognitive advancement for children by utilizing youth circles to teach skills in mediation, conflict resolution, ethical reasoning, critical thinking, and restorative justice practices. Also, they specialize in and offer mediation and youth circle trainings to returning citizens and other community members interested in becoming a restorative justice facilitator and working and supporting youth. So this partnership has really come together very well for us. We're very much values aligned and mission aligned. So what is our youth empowerment circles? We provide a safe, brave, and judgment-free spaces for young people to gather in restorative circle dialogues. Those dialogues are facilitated by our program partners, Dynastic Ministries, and the youth engage in restorative dialogue that provides and encourages development of self-esteem, constructive approaches to communication. We address problems and disagreements without verbal or physical violence. And most importantly, we build community cohesion. And the photo you see are some of the kids who have participated in our in our circle program. And these were from the very first cohort, along with the facilitators here and there. This is a 10-week program curriculum. We meet in Ypsilanti at one of the community centers in Ypsilanti Township. And over the 10 weeks, we work very closely with the kids, of course. In the first week, we want to just have them to introduce themselves and bring their families into the circle. So it's very common for parents to be there, caregivers to be there to do those introductions. Then weeks 2 through 8, we're really diving into the curriculum. They talk about influences, what influences them in a positive way as well as a negative way. They have a discussion on a proper view, meaning how do they view themselves? What is appropriate for their age range? What is okay to let go of? What could be the boundaries of how they view themselves? For instance, some men think of themselves, uh, the children think of themselves as adults, and we encourage them to think of themselves as children. What do they like to do as kids? Proper responses. When they are in a difficult and challenging situation, what can they do to respond? How do they communicate how they feel, what their needs are, what they want to do next? Having a vision. How do they think of themselves as they go from elementary to middle school to high school, beyond high school? How do they do that methodically? Then there's a discussion on crisis versus freedom, how being reactive can limit their freedom and being proactive can keep them free. This is a very direct discussion around individuals being arrested, getting into criminal trouble, going into the criminal legal system. Then critical thinking, we break down conflict in ways, we dissect it in ways that they can see the opportunities to resolve the conflict without verbal or physical violence. And of course, we talk about conflict resolution. The ninth week, the kids are giving us their reflections. What did they take away from this experience with the facilitators? And then week 10, we have a graduation, which is a celebration of them completing the curriculum. This is a new program. We just started this year in February. We have worked with 2 groups of kids, and we know that evaluation of programs is critically important. So we're working currently with an outside data evaluator, and she is evaluating all of the DRC programs, and she's collecting the matrix on both short-term and long-term basis by following the individuals, the youth, and their families over an extended period of time to measure our efficacy. A very evaluative way of saying that we want to know the strength of our program. So this evaluator I've known for probably 12 years now. She evaluated the peacemaking court when it started. She was one of the early writers around restorative practices for youth. She's a child psychologist and she teaches at Wayne State University. So we feel really lucky to have her as a partner, and she's using all of the methodologies that evaluators do to study a program. So what we've learned so far this year, we've had 2 cohorts. The first one ran from February through April. We had 8 boys to participate, and all 8 did complete the program. And their ages were 9 to 16. So we had a 9-year-old, the youngest person to sit in circle with us, but the 9-year-old was very engaged and really appreciated being there with us every Saturday. The second cohort started in May and ran through August. And as you can imagine, we ran into summer fun activities, family vacations, family activities. Some kids were enrolled in driver's ed. So it was a little choppier than we expected. But we did get 9 boys to sign up and participate. 6 did complete it. The ages were 11 to 16. And 6 of the 9 participants were under court supervision. And I'll say more about that partnership, which just began to emerge. We listened to the youth and the girls. There were a group of girls who wanted to participate, and we had a separate circle for them. 5 girls participated and 2 completed, and they were ages 13 to 15. So the completion rate was 57% for our spring summer cohort. This is a picture of what graduation looks like. It is truly a celebration. And this photo is meaningful because you can see other community partners, folks who are in grassroots spaces in the community on the east side of the county. And then we had presence of members of the Washtenaw County Sheriff's Department, the street outreach team, as well as We Live. So that is very valuable because they're often the first responders to conflict in the community. So this partnership will really help our program grow. So, first year out, as the executive director, of course, I have to monitor the data. I have to see what's happening with the program. Should we continue? Should we not? It's too soon to decide to not continue, but I was really proud to look at this information just as I was thinking about this presentation. We had 22 kids to show up and participate in our circle. Not all 22 came every single week, but most did. And we graduated 73% of the kids, which isn't bad for a first year program, a program that extended across the spring and summer season as well. On our graduation day, we actually hold a circle that includes the family, caregivers, and the youth. That is pretty powerful because kids get to hear information from their parents and caregivers. The parents and caregivers get to have a conversation with their kids. And some of the things that we heard from the parents was that they were seeing shifts in behavior from their children, particularly the boys who were under court supervision. The kids were beginning to obey the curfew times. They were listening to the parents and taking care of household chores. They were less resistant and reticent about doing homework. They were making better choices, even in the home with siblings, and in other words, not picking fights. They were able to communicate better with the parent. One parent said in the circle that not only am I getting better communication from my son, I'm learning to better communicate with him, and I want to keep the circles going. So it was really helpful to hear that directly from the families who are most impacted by the work that we're doing, but they're also very impacted by the circumstances of our community. In our circle graduation celebration, we also want to have fun with them. So we really block off the entire afternoon. There's music, there's laughter, there are games. So we really want to show the kids that we're there as community members and we value them and we see them. And of course, we have food. Every gathering we have with these kids, we feed them. And at the circle celebration, they get to identify the menu items that they want to have. And a local caterer, she's a home chef, she cooks for our kids every week. And at the celebration, she makes a tremendous meal for them that they have identified, which is really powerful to get their voices in the room and in designing how this our work goes. Then we have the graduation ceremony where they get up. Not only do they get a certificate in a trophy, they also get to share what they've learned. What was one takeaway, one aha moment for them? And we heard things like, I felt safe being in the circle. We heard from them saying that I want to be better. I now understand why it's important to communicate. Conflict resolution, those tips and tricks and techniques that we do at the DRC became very valuable for them. In fact, there were two kids in the circle who had a disagreement, a beef with each other from the community that we did not know. They used the circle space to dissect that conflict and to resolve it right there in the circle. So, what a way to demonstrate positive and constructive conflict management right there in the circle with the other kids. We also give them a gift. We give them a book. They get some other trinkets in their grab bag, but the book is really critical because the book is aligned with the values of and the ethos of conflict resolution. And now, a few of the kids are coming together for a book club and discussion. So they're using the book, they're reading it together, and they're discussing it together. So, what we learned first year out, it was really important that we have our own takeaways as a program, a service provider. And we learned some very hard things as well as some very interesting things about the youth that we're serving. And I want to say that these youth, many of them stated that they had been engaged with other programs in the community, but felt safe with ours because the facilitators reflected their community. And I think access to our program was a little easier. We are really embedded within the community on a bus line. We provide transportation when needed, and we're at home. We're in their home community, and I think that makes a tremendous difference as well. But one of the things that stood out to me is that as we listen to the kids respond to circle questions and tell their stories from their perspective, their responses to our questions indicate that they would score 5 or more on the ACEs assessment. I don't know how many of you are familiar with that, but the ACE assessment is a trauma assessment tool that has 10 factors. And we all can take it, adults and children can take it, but it is heavily used in that space of trauma assessment. And the higher your score, the more trauma you've experienced. And if we flip that coin, the more trauma a person experienced, the more care they need and service that they need to help them manage the trauma. So 5 or more ACEs a score is kind of high when you think about kids who are not even teenagers or they're are teenagers. That's kind of high. What that means that the questions of the assessment means that they've lost a close family member to death, a parent, a caregiver, a grandparent. They have seen or heard of other people in their closest circle to die. They know someone or a parent or caregiver has gone to jail or prison. They themselves have been incarcerated. There's food insecurity. Do they hear gunshots? So it's a pretty interesting 10-point question, and it stood out to us that the stories that our children shared encapsulated those factors of the ACE assessment. So I want to really drive that because we have a lot of work to do in our community to help our youth. Some of the households experience food insecurity. That came to our attention because, as I said, we have a local chef, a home cook chef, who brings food, and her food is not your typical chicken nuggets or hot dogs. They are hearty meals for the kids. It might be macaroni and cheese. It may be burgers one day and fries. And every week, at least 3 children would say, can I take the leftovers home to my family? Can I take something home to my sibling? Can I take something home to a parent? And we always had enough food for them to eat seconds. Now, some of that just might be growth and development, and kids are, have a heartier appetite, but the need or the desire to take food home stood out to us. So we responded in kind by making sure that we had heartier foods and extras so that they can take home. And for the first time, the DRC purchased um, boxes to carry out boxes so the kids can take something home so they can know that that was allowed and they did not need to ask for permission. And there are people in the waiting room that just want to bring that to the attention. Most of the children have been exposed to guns or gun violence, and of course that is highlighted in the ACEs assessment. But for them to talk out loud about guns and gun violence was almost unexpected. We received that, we didn't respond to that, but they talked about not only had they seen a gun or been exposed to a gun, that they had some had actually touched a gun. So we did not report these kids, but we did talk about it in the circle so that they can know that there's a pathway to not touch a gun. They talked about the function of a gun, and they opened up more about their concerns about safety. So the guns are not just because they want to shoot people. The guns were a response to how they can make themselves feel safe. And I'll talk more about our response to that momentarily. As I mentioned earlier, 6 of the kids were under a juvenile court supervision. This partnership with the juvenile court but this particular group of youth started early spring. We started talking about this particular program, how to get some kids involved. And I'm happy to say that the juvenile court made referrals. The kids had the choice to engage with us or not, and 6 of them said yes. For making that choice, the juvenile court gave these youth credits for community service. So they were able to gain something to assist them in getting off probation by participating. And it wasn't performative. We some of the youth did not come every week, some chose not to come at all, but the 6 who came consistently was not performative. They really took something away. And the older youth actually want to learn to be peer mentors. They were able to really talk about and unpack their lived experience and how they ended up being under court supervision. The parents want circles themselves. That stood out to us as they were talking about their need to learn to communicate with their kids better, especially the older kids. For those of us who are parents, um, how we communicate with an infant and toddler and young child will change dramatically when those kids become young adults. So, how do we shift our communication in a way that is positive and to really enhance and make sure that their relationship is intact? Um, we also learned that kids felt safe and valued and they want to continue with the program. So one of the hardest decisions I had to make for this particular program was how to keep the continuity of our engagement with the kids. Our curriculum is complete. We've done what we said we're going to do, but how do we let these kids go when they are expressing to stay connected with us? So we're doing that using the book. The gift of the book became a book club. Um, we are finding opportunities to engage with them in a healthy way in the community. Sometimes it's just an outing to get pizza. Other times it's just a phone call where the kids are contacting the facilitators to say, hey, this is what's happening, or I just want to check in with you. So, in the ethos of restorative work, restorative practices, we know from our Indigenous learning that maintaining relationships is important to positive change, and we're working on that in our program. So I've talked about the ongoing engagement. The kids have asked us specifically to stay engaged, but they also want to be compensated. These kids come from low socioeconomic circumstances, so even $10 goes a long way for them. And so we're looking to build that into our budget. The book club, we've started the first book club and we will continue the book club um, ongoing. So we're always going to look for new books that are age appropriate for them to read with. One of our community partners and community programs that we that I am personally involved with is Community Reads. So a plug for them as well. And they have a lot of suggestions on books that are age appropriate. Many of our kids have never been outside of Ypsilanti or the Ypsi Ann Arbor area. Many of them have not been to Eastern's campus or the campus of U of M. Many of our kids do not get to do pro-social fun activities or to enjoy the wonderful amenities that Washtenaw County offers. So we're looking to do that. Our first outing will be go-kart racing. This is what they want. This is what they've asked for. And it's a fun event, an engaging event that they can do together. And so we're working to make that happen for them. In terms of safety, because so many of the kids express feeling unsafe, and again, thought their desire to have a gun was important to them. We're going to expose them to martial arts, which is good for just uh, body control. It's good for to re-regulate ourselves when we are feeling anxious. Some kids are interested in learning how to box. So we are going to introduce them to folks who are in that space. They continue to ask for the food and the snacks. The DRC has been providing that for them since the program started. And we have a budget line item now for the food and the snacks. And again, preparation to be peer mentors. It was really um, interesting to hear kids say to the facilitators, I want to learn to do what you're doing. How can I facilitate a circle? Especially the the teenagers, 15, 16, and 17-year-olds. We want to train them to become peer facilitators. And we're looking at a partnership with Michigan Works where they can be paid as an intern with the DRC so that they can deepen their learning around the different things that we have in the curriculum. The kids made this ask, and as a negotiator, I said, what can you offer in exchange for the things that you're asking for? And they voluntarily said, we want to be a part of the community. We are a part of the community. How can we work in the community? Maybe we can volunteer to help folks rake leaves, shovel snow, just do light community things in the neighborhoods that they live in. So we will build that into our program going forward as we are entering into fall and the leaves are falling. A Saturday afternoon of raking leaves in a community space or for an elderly person would really go a long way for them. The peer mentorship and peer support, they offer that, asking to be peer mentors, but learning how to be a community and supporting each other. They want to be there to assist the older kids to assist with the younger kids. So giving them that responsibility really levels them up and raises the bar on pro-social behavior for the larger community. Our partners, Washtenaw County Sheriff's Office, they have two programs that we partner with, We Live in the Street Outreach group. These two groups are first responders, if you will. When something is going to happen, they often know about it. When when violence has happened in the community, they often are there to help the survivors. So they are able to refer families to us, not only for our general services and conflict resolution, but also for our youth program. As I mentioned, Michigan Works, we had meetings with them this year. when they start the youth summer employment program in March or April. We'll be a part of that in our job description around preparing youth mentors has been accepted, and they're willing to pay the kids to be paid interns at the DRC. And of course, I mentioned the juvenile court. We will continue that partnership with them. They're welcome to make referrals in exchange for community service for the kids. Our program is funded right now by Washtenaw County under the High Impact Grant. The DRC was one of 3 organizations awarded for the High Impact Grant, and we're turning those funds over, and we spend our line item for this program, we spend about $65,000 a year. And of course, we rely on the donations of the community. Other program needs, other ways to support the programs. One, refer kids, kids in your community, uh, kids in your family. If you want them to be exposed to these skills or learn about these skills, don't hesitate to refer them. We have curriculums, and we present the curriculum in a binder to them. They take the material home and they bring it back each week, I'm sorry. So we want to make sure that they have the tools to do that. Cash donations are always needed, general office supplies, and the girls really lifted this up. They want crafting supplies. We found that, and I think many of us are aware of this. Sometimes the doodling behavior helps folks manage their anxiety and to be engaged. So we had coloring books there, yarn, fidget spinners. We just got our supply of fidget spinners in last week. But they also asked for crafting supplies. Gift cards, the local places in the community, the grocery stores, Myers, GFS, Kroger's would be helpful to us because again, we are providing food. Food donations, if you're snacks and water, if you want to support the program by donating a case of water, a case of Pop-Tarts, a bag of candy, that would be helpful to us. In general school supplies, pens, pencils, paper, that would be helpful to our kids as well. The DRC also has a dream list, our wish list. We want to brand this program. We're working on that right now. How do we brand it with the partners that are involved and have merchandise for them? We know that t-shirts, a youth having the shirt of a program that they're involved in sounds like a small thing, but it brings a lot of pride and joy. They can wear the shirt when they are out on outings. That helps us easily identify them in a crowd. And also, we want them to feel invested and connected with the program as we continue to grow this out. As I mentioned earlier, trips in the county and maybe in the state, field trips, giving kids exposure to something more than what they have goes a long way. Going to a museum, the botanical garden, um, maybe going to a lake will go a long way. We want to engage them, especially during the summer months when violence typically goes up on the east side of the county. We want to keep the kids safe. Excuse me. Keep them safe and keep them active in positive activities. Because we spend a Saturday afternoon together, usually at least 3 hours, sometimes longer, having a television and a gaming console in a permanent space would be very helpful. The program is unfolding, but when we take breaks, when we have lunch, they want to be able to play with the game. They've asked for that as well. Our evaluation is going on. We're looking at a short term as well as long term. We want the kids to be circle facilitators and mentors, and again, the pro-social activities. So that is our wish list. I thank you for listening. We have a QR code that you can take a picture of now if you want to support the program. You can reach me at my email or go to our website to learn more about the DRC in this service in particular. So I'm going to stop my share now and take questions. Looks like we have quite a few in the chat.
Thank you, Belinda. And Melanie has been monitoring the chat and she'll ask those questions. Melanie, don't forget to unmute.
Oh, hello. There are some questions, and Lauren has been helping to answer some of them, but what were the criteria for the completion of participation in a circle?
The criteria for completion of the to get to graduation day is that you had to complete at least 80% of the classes. And we wanted, because we recognize that, so if they completed, we have 10 classes, if they completed 8, the 8 are about the curriculum. But we wanted them to be able, so there were two things behind this. We didn't want kids to slip through the cracks as they often experience. Why push them forward if they really had not completed the work? And we want to know or get confirmation from them that something stood out to them. So giving us that feedback. Did they learn something? Did they, are they grasping the information? And if not, they can come back. They can stay with the course and start again. We're not pushing anyone away, but they understand the basic rule is you must be present and participate in order to be graduated. And that's the only criteria.
Okay, thanks. What is the ideal circle size? Is there a maximum?
Yes, we have found that more than 15 kids at one time is too big of a circle, because you want to build community. And I would say that's across the board, young people as well as adults. You want to build a sense of community, a sense of connectedness and cohesion. So 15 youth or kids in the circle was an ideal circle size. We have not hit that maximum yet. With the girls, though, when the girls' circle began, we keep them separate. So there's a girls' circle and a boys' circle. And you can imagine uh, why we do that. When we thought we could put them together, it was just too distracting for both genders. So we have separated them. So again, we have not hit our a maximum attendance or maximum size of the circle.
Belinda, what is the title of the gift book? Someone asked.
The book title is As a Man Thinketh. It's a very thin book, and it talks about building character, building identity, feeling confident in yourself as an individual. So that is the book that they're reading together now. So the kids are not required to read the book and then come discuss it. They actually read it together as a community.
Oh, okay. Another question. You said that you are in their home community. I'm not sure where the DRC is located now. Is it in the courthouse or the news center?
We are in the courthouse. That's where our primary office is, but our circle work happens in the community. The youth empowerment circles, we're using a community space from Ypsilanti Township. They have repurposed a sheriff's branch office, if you will, and we are using that space. It's on Holmes Road. We have access to the Tyler Road space, and we're constantly looking for spaces. So when we get the referrals and we know what our group will look like, we actually identify a space that we can easily access for them. So no one is coming into the courthouse.
Okay. Lauren had added for everybody that's all the participants, Lauren added a link to where you can take the ACEs quiz. I don't know if you noticed that, Belinda, but would that be something you would recommend?
I think it's a good quiz for folks to take. I've taken it. I think you'll learn something about yourself. The quiz is I think 10 questions. It's not very long at all. People can take it. And then if you choose to take it, really give a reflection of where you are. You might discover some things about yourself and how you either processed your trauma or did not process trauma. But I also think those questions will be eye-opening for you to understand the population that um, to understand the population that we're working with. You know, the kids are who are carrying trauma. And then when you think about, and I don't, you know, I'm not a, this is not my background is dispute resolution, but what I'm learning and really diving into is the brain science. If we say that a child's brain is not developed until we're in our 20s and they have experienced high levels of trauma before 25, then what is our responsibility in the community to assist them in processing the trauma? So a lot of kids get in trouble because they don't follow the rules. They're having altercations in school or in the community. I'm not suggesting we give them a pass, but when we put that in a context, context matters. In a context of surviving high levels of trauma, the cortisol levels are higher than normal. If you've read Brian Stevenson's work, he talks about young people in that fight or flight mode all the time. The cortisols do not come down. So we're working with a population of youth who have experienced that higher level of trauma. That means we had to adjust ourselves in our thinking around what do we deliver to them, and how we deliver that to them so that they can receive it.
Another question, Belinda. Are there volunteer opportunities? And you said a little bit about this. Is there something for a person who's outside of the community and might not make kids automatically feel comfortable? I'd like to help out, but I don't want to fall into any white savior stuff that would be unhelpful to kids.
Thank you for the question and the framing of that question. We do have the facilitators, Dynastic Ministries. They're training people to be facilitators on our behalf as well, specifically for this circle. If you're interested in participating or supporting as a volunteer, I encourage you to reach out to me specifically by email. And why don't we have a further discussion and deeper dive into what volunteering could look like for you and for the program.
And in addition, you mentioned earlier the different things people could contribute.
Can contribute. It sounds like I hope it doesn't sound um, minimal or minuscule, but when the kids come to the circle on a Saturday afternoon, the first thing that they do is they begin eating the cereal bars, the individual cups of cereals, Pop-Tarts. What we ask or we were able to understand is that many have not had breakfast in the morning. So the circle becomes a place where they have breakfast. So when I thought, you know, we'll just have some light refreshments or snacks, we're now looking at things that are more substantive so that they can engage. When kids are hungry, they're not going to be able to engage. When they're hungry, they become angry. We call it hangry. And it's, you know, we laugh and joke about that, but that's really real. They're coming with growling, their bellies are growling. So donating something that they can eat is very, very helpful. And any of the things that I put on the list would be very helpful for us.
That's great. I'd love to, this is more of a comment. I'd love to see the young people design the logo for the program, for the t-shirts and things.
I agree. I am not, people who know me well know that I'm not very creative. But as we build this community of youth and get them really engaged in understanding the bigger picture, I hope that they are creating helpful in creating what the logo can look like, what they will wear on their bodies in a t-shirt, maybe a hoodie. So I'm looking forward to that, and we're going to give it a try and see where it takes us.
Okay, the next question is, what is it like working with 9 and 16-year-olds in a circle? I'm curious what differences or similarities you noted in their thinking.
Yeah. So we thought that would be a challenge. I personally thought that would be a challenge, and the facilitator said, let us try it. So the facilitators are great at framing questions in a way that is accessible by everyone. And one of the rules of circle dialogue is if you don't have a response or a comment, you can pass. So if you don't want to respond, you don't have to. But the 9-year-old was very engaging. You know, the 9-year-old always had something to say. In a way, it had something to say that was appropriate for the question and for the bigger picture. What they have in common is their lived experience, the experiences that create a higher ACE score, an experience that created this that they survive the circumstances that are given to them. They were connected in that way. And what was interesting about the older kids is that they embraced the 9-year-old like a younger sibling. And they help manage each other. Like, let's take a break, or, that's not a polite way to say that. Can you say it differently? So they're learning from each other. And I think that's very valuable to all the kids involved. So it worked out. It really worked out much better than I thought. I was really afraid, but it really worked out. And some kids, even though they're young, the things that they're exposed to will probably make the hair on the back of our neck stand up. But they're exposed to the same things that the 16-year-olds are exposed to.
Do some of the 16-year-olds, as a follow-up, kind of help the younger participants?
Some of the 16-year-olds can help with the younger participants. And that's our goal. When they talk about peer mentorship and all of the other work that's going to, as we grow and evolve, they will have a greater responsibility of assisting the 9-year-olds. I mean, the vision of this as it continues to expand, a 16-year-old helping a 9-year-old with reading, a 16-year-old helping a 9-year-old maybe with homework support. So we really want to build that sense of community and connectedness, and positive relationships. Among all of the youth. This is being done in other places in our country, and I've been challenging myself, why not here? And so that delicate balance of how we separate people versus how we keep them together and for what those needs are, is important.
Thanks. I think you might have touched on this, but as a follow-up, are you planning any circles for the parents?
Yes, we are. We will begin each new cohort with a circle, a parent circle. We will end with the parent circle, and we've decided just a few weeks ago, midstream the curriculum, we will have a check-in circle with the parents. And those circles will involve the kids. So we are looking for a bigger space. I've talked to, if you're familiar with Bonnie over at the Hub, the Peace Hub, because they have a much bigger space. They have a commercial kitchen. So it's not just having them there in circle, is having family dinner, family dialogue, family engagement, giving the parents a chance to see their children in a much positive way, children engaging with their parents in a positive way. And as a community, we show up to support the parents as well. Most of the households are single moms, and they ask for that kind of support. And we want to do that. But there will be 3 touch points, if you will, before we begin, at the end of our curriculum, and in the middle. And if they want circles somewhere else in between, we're happy to do that, but we want to be intentional with those 3 touch points.
That's great. There's some wonderful comments we'll come back to. Some very nice comments for you. And
Thank you.
there's another question. Where do non-binary youth, which group do they go to, or could they go to?
That's a great question. We haven't been presented with that. And if they want to choose to be in either circle, either group, the girls or the boys, they're welcome to do that. And if there's youth that are in that LGBT category, we can develop a circle for them. That's the easy part of this. The easiest part is getting people together and sit in circle. The hard part is all of the things, the amenities that we want to attach to it. And for me, in the DRC, they will be treated the same as any other circle that we host. So I would love to have members of the LGBT community to come forward, or parents to come forward with their children if they want a circle for them.
Okay. Um, do you see a need for ongoing resources for parents as they navigate the ongoing needs of their developing youth?
I think so. I think one of my takeaways in listening to the parents, and this is a discussion I've been involved in on and off for many years now, so I'm not just making it up as we go along. I think parenting is can be a struggle when you're under-resourced and when you feel disconnected and you feel like you're all alone, struggling with your kids, and then a kid has catches a case in our court system, and then you feel all alone. So there are some parenting programs like Sure Moms that is doing very well, sponsored by the sheriff's office, that's doing very well. Um, and talking to my colleagues, what we determine is that a community that's under-resourced cannot have too many programs or services. There's just no such thing as too much, because we're starting at a deep deficit anyway. So the parents are asking for support. Some of it is just, how do I handle a certain situation? Some of it is real material. I don't have enough food to get through. There's a lot of shame and blame in the conflict space. So what I envision in our moments of checking in with the parents is connecting them to the existing community resources, like going to a food pantry. One of the things that led me to this space was that I have accompanied parents to food pantries in the county, and I went with them because I wanted to dispel the shame about going to a food pantry. I have accompanied parents in creating recipes so that there won't be any food waste. So what can I do with a 5 pound pack of hamburger? Let's talk about all of the meals you can make. So when I think about how to work with parents in the circle without shame or blame is really those basic things that they're struggling with and they feel overwhelmed with. If the parent did not get that support from their own parent or grandparent, how do we expect them to be able to function and do that with their children? We're looking at cycles of poverty, and you all know this, cycles of generational poverty, generational trauma, in some parts of the county. So how do we interrupt that as a community to give support, not to analyze, not to shame or blame them, but to give them the tools of support? So that's one way. We're also thinking about trainings, ongoing training just for parents. In the conflict resolution world, the agendas for training is endless. So how do we take those topics and create a workshop, if you will, that is just for parents, that will give them tools, that will enrich them, and also build a sense of community for them as well.
Thank you. There's so many good questions where I guess there's just one, you might want to reach out to the Family
Okay.
Empowerment Program. They're looking for a caterer,
Oh,
but, and please read the wonderful congratulations notes to you. I guess,
thank you. Thank you all.
Maggie, are we at our time?
We are. I just wanted to, so Belinda, any last words that you'd like to say before I wrap us up?
Yeah, I want to again thank you all for listening and for your wonderful questions. Parent Empowerment Program at Park Ridge, please reach out to me, Kelly, because I may not remember. Um, but thank you all for this. And I just want to acknowledge that Lamar Harris is on this Zoom. He's one of our facilitators. He and his brother co-facilitate the circle. They are the principals of Dynastic Ministries. Thank you, Lamar, for being here. And I appreciate your support. I appreciate it so much.
Oh, thank you. So yes, thank you, Belinda, for the work that you're doing and for taking the time to be here today. We've got a lot of really good information here. Thanks to everyone who joined us and for all those thoughtful questions. I want to thank Melanie and Jane for being my Zoom tech support, and a really special thanks to Jane for all her work to publicize today's event. And if you'd like information about joining our Juvenile Justice and Justice for All advocacy team, please email us at justice@lwvwashington.org. Yes. So this is the end of our program. I hope everyone has a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for coming. Bye-bye.